All right. It says we're live, and I'm gonna wait. Hey, I'm gonna wait for my mission control to jump on and make sure they can see us. Last week we had it said it was live and it wasn't for a little bit. So, all right, somebody's on here. Let's see. I'm gonna wait and see when Krista gets on. Hello, everybody. All right, everybody's hopping on. So I think I got us going. So, hello, everybody. I am live from Acworth today, and Krista was not able to come with me. So, number one, she's usually the tech guru. So, hey Judy, I am winging it, and I decided to use my phone today instead of the iPad and tripod and microphones and all that. So, hey Bill. So hopefully you guys can hear us good. We're inside today. The acoustics are great in this place. And so since Krista couldn't come, I wanted to invite a friend who, oh, hey Krista, good, thanks. I wanted to invite a friend who knows a lot more about this than I do. And so we are here. This is Historic Preservation Month. And so History Loves Company today is focusing on, and all this month, on places that have done a fantastic job preserving our history. Last week, we went to the Root House and talked to Trevor in Marietta. And then now we're here in Acworth. So for those who don't know, Acworth wasn't always this pretty. I think it's gorgeous, but I grew up here. I grew up in Acworth. I went to North Cobb High School, and so this is kind of hometown for me. But even though I've devoted the last 20 years of my life to Marietta history mostly, this is home. So today I have Mr. Mack Turner with us. Hey, Mack.
Hi, everybody.
And he is going to kind of give us a breakdown on the whole story of how we got to this beautiful spot. I'm going to turn the camera around for just a minute. And I am inside the replica of the old train station, right? And we're going to hear about how and why it's a replica, not the real thing. And look at this gorgeous exhibit here. I'll stand up for just a minute. All of these gorgeous exhibits and exhibit labels, history. So much to learn while you walk around here. Now, we are not going to go through every bit of the history here today because I want you guys to come visit it. So, I mentioned that I'm from here and I'm in Acworth all the time. I live in Kennesaw, but this is my first time in here. So, shame on me. But now that I'm in here, it is stunning. And I want to encourage everybody to come after you listen to us today. So, Mack, I guess my first question to you is, is just the origin story of the depot. Because I remember, I don't know how many years ago it was, you'll have to tell me. I distinctly remember on Facebook when the Save Acworth Depot Facebook group started. And I remember seeing it and trying to read and keep up with it and really, loving what you guys were starting to try to do. I think Davis McCollum was involved in that. And tell us how that kind of got started.
Well, that effort started in 2013, a long time ago. And what happened was, I'll give you a little history on the old depot. We have a picture of it right over on the wall.
Okay.
That depot was built here in 1893, and it thrived here until the late 60s. And I guess when the interstates were built, all the railroad depots started to go down. Mm-hmm. And in 1970, the city of Acworth decided they had been given the building by the L&N Railroad. They decided that they no longer needed the building, and they wanted to build a parking lot.
Of course.
So instead of destroying the building, they put it up for sale, and a local realtor, a guy, a friend of mine, who's passed away now, Floyd Clark, I think he bought the depot for about $100.
Oh my gosh.
But the deal was he had to move it.
Okay, yep.
So they didn't demolish it. They came in and cut it in half.
Wow.
And it was a big depot for a small town. It was like 112 foot long,
Yeah.
which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, we still don't know why it was so big. So they cut it in half and literally moved it 1 block from where we're sitting here.
Okay.
On Wynn Street. And
Okay.
They blocked the ends where they cut it and made storage buildings out of it. So it's set there. Half of it's still sitting there today. If you walk out on
really?
if you walk out on the porch of this depot, you can see the roof of half of it.
No
today.
way. I might have to go look at
Half
that in a
of
little
it
bit.
was sold to make furniture out of.
Okay.
There was the lumber in it. It's all heart pine and big beams and everything. So anyway, that's what happened. It got moved in 1970, and about 2013, some of us on Facebook decided that we wanted to try to see if we could do something about it. And I think somebody dared me one day, and I kind of took it personally, so we got after it. And we spent 2 years trying to see if we could buy those buildings, and we exhausted all the efforts. We raised a pretty good bit of money, but we just couldn't raise enough money to make it happen. So that effort ended in 2015, and we pretty much thought we were through. But I give all the credit to the city. Later that year, you know, we got a pretty good bit of publicity out of that. There was a couple of big write-ups in the Marietta Journal about it. And so the city, later that year, when we were getting about ready to turn our 501c3 in, informed us that they were building what I think was a 100-year project here. They not only built the depot and this plaza, they built this overhead bridge out here.
Oh yeah, it's
and changed
gorgeous.
the landscape of this city forever.
It truly, I mean, it's gorgeous down here. If y'all haven't been to Acworth in a while, it's just such a booming, fun shops, and the restaurants are fantastic. I just ate at that 1885 for the
really
first
good.
time the other night. Fantastic. So 2015, you thought it was done, and then what?
Well, at the Christmas, that would have been in about the summer of 2015, after probably a 2 or 2.5 year effort. And we didn't quit until there was nowhere else to go on it. So that year, I think it was at the Christmas party here in town, we got invited, and we donated a couple of monuments. They're out here on the plaza right now. And they broke out with an easel and set of plans for everything you see here today. And of course, we were over the moon excited.
Yeah.
We didn't have any idea they were going to do it. So
Was the plan? Oh, sorry. I was going to say, was the plan all along to rebuild a replica of the depot, or?
well, we don't call it a replica
Oh,
to start with,
okay.
because this is the 4th depot that's been in this town, and the other three serve the railroad, and this one was built for a history center. So
There
it's
you
kind
go.
of a building on its own.
That's true.
I
All right,
to
I
call
like
it a
that.
replica,
I like that.
It's okay if you call it that, but I'm not calling it that.
I like that. All right, yeah. Well, this I'm gonna show what the original one looked like over here. And you said it was 1896. 1893. There we go. Look at that. That's the original one. It really looks similar to what Marietta's original freight depot was, the pre-war one that got demolished after a train ran into it from the train wreck. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I think that was in the 70s.
It was 74, I think. Krista
But
can.
the only reason that we know why that depot was such a huge depot, somebody said they read that maybe it was like halfway between Chattanooga and, I don't know if it was Savannah or somewhere, I don't know, one of the big towns. Might have been Macon.
Yeah.
It might have been like a central station, because, you know, if you go to Kennesaw, they got one about the size of this building. But that was a huge building.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And so the city took it upon themselves to really get behind preserving the history and getting I know for a while there was talk of being a welcome center. Sometimes it was, I remember hearing talk about it being right off of 75 over there where the Cowan farmhouse is. And How did they eventually, do you know how they eventually decided to stay
Well,
here?
actually, what happened, we explored every lot in town, trying to figure, in other words, we could have bought those buildings. We didn't have to put it here, we were just gonna put it somewhere, and make a history center out of it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But where we're sitting right here was 10 parking spaces.
Okay,
And the
right.
caboose.
Right.
And when we got our 501c3, we had a meeting with the city council and everything, and they said they would give us this lot if we could raise the money to disassemble that building and put it here. Of course, it required engineering plans. It was going to be like a $300,000 project.
Oh yeah.
And the buildings didn't qualify for any grants because they'd been moved off the original site. So the money was going to have to be raised through all private
That
funds.
makes sense. And that's always, often the problem is just finding the funds to move something. You can give something for free. I know the Aviation Museum in Marietta, at one point, they had been offered a C5.
Oh, really?
Here, take our C5. But do you know how easy it is to move a C5 from one end of Cobb County to the other? Or not even one end of Dobbins to the other, not even Cobb County. The infrastructure they were going to have to, to move and take down was just too much.
To tell you the truth, I don't know how they moved those depot buildings because, in other words, part of the depot was here where we're sitting, and the rest of it went across that street, wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they made a railroad crossing here, but and when they cut those buildings in half, if you go down there where they're at to turn, that's a real steep turn. I don't know
how in the world they did it.
I would have liked to have seen a video of how they got those buildings.
Yeah.
And then that grade drops off real steep there too.
I'm gonna have to go look at it.
Yeah.
So we've got our wonderful museum here talking about a lot of the stories that you guys have found. And a lot of those stories, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of those stories have come from your interviews. Is that right? I mean, you guys have been on top of it, doing just hundreds. How many
we haven't
interviews?
done hundreds.
I feel like okay.
Tim Richardson was here when you got here.
He's hiding.
He pulled up some information on his phone. It says there's 147 videos there.
Yeah.
What that is, the videos that are in here are the short videos.
Okay, yeah.
In other words,
edited versions.
Yeah, well, it's just like 7 or 8 minutes, but if you go to our YouTube channel, you see the long ones.
Okay.
So these are quick with pictures and
Sure.
everything.
Maybe we can get a link to their YouTube channel on here.
I think we've got like 65 of those, and then of course we've shot, being inspired by you guys, we shot some out in the field.
Yeah.
Our amateur self,
Well,
and, some of them have been pretty popular, and some of them hadn't.
I'd put us in the amateur category too.
No, you guys are great.
No, but those, I love those videos, and I know Dr. Tom Scott was helpful in that as well, and he's helped us just immensely over the years.
We know and love him like y'all do. He's been huge for Acworth history.
Yeah.
Cobb
County history.
He's done all these interviews.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And he's done a lot for Marietta and Kennesaw, the interviews wise as well, and a lot of those are housed on Kennesaw State University's archives, their archives and rare books, their website. You can watch those videos there too. So
he's a great man.
Yeah, absolutely. So the videos have been a huge part of your preserving the history. Also, I've noticed through the years of walking around downtown, Logan Park. And what do you call this new area down here that you guys have developed? Is that still Logan Park?
Yeah, it's Logan Park.
With all of the interpretive panels, there's history panels all over.
Well, no, those are, where the panels are at the new Doyle Hill Park.
Okay,
he was the
Doyle
first
Hill.
He was the first black councilman in Acworth.
Okay.
And that's right beside the Rosenwald School.
Okay, yes.
So that park just opened last summer.
Okay, I don't know if I've been over to that.
Kennesaw State did the same type storyboards as you see here.
Yeah.
But those are weatherproof. They're outside.
Okay, they're outside.
And that park gets a lot of people over there looking at those. And I just talked with Tim. We had a meeting yesterday with the city. We're going to be putting a lot more of those out.
That is wonderful.
Really like them.
Oh, they do. They really do. And everybody wants, especially with the pandemic, people want to get out now. Even if they weren't before, even during the pandemic, a lot of people were getting outside to get out, go somewhere. But even now, people that weren't going outside their home, they all want to get out. And we've seen, an increase in visitors at the museum, but also just the bike trails and the square walking around. One of those, did I see you guys are going to do one on the old hotel? Is that right?
Right.
Yeah.
For you who are not familiar with the Acworth Hotel, it was right across the street from where we're sitting today, and it took up that whole block.
Yeah.
It was a huge building. Didn't have a lot of rooms, but they were big rooms. I think it only had about 40 rooms. But the way I understand it, it was a real elegant hotel. So Kennesaw State's working on a monument now. We're going to have one right over there, right where you cross the street to tell about it. And,
Awesome.
And we also, yesterday, we talked about putting quite a few more of them.
Good.
So we're going to have quite a few more of those.
Oh, that is wonderful. I don't remember the hotel. So when did that come down?
That hotel we've got records back, our newspaper articles back to 1868, and it was torn down in 1961.
Okay, yeah, that's a little before my time.
I remember it. I vaguely,
Yeah.
I'd have been like
Is there a
15.
picture of it in here somewhere? Let me see if I see
Well,
one,
you
because
probably
it's
want to come up on that screen.
because it is
I don't
beautiful.
think we have a direct picture of it.
Let me see what else we got around here. Just some of the pictures of families. Yeah, most of my memories of Acworth are from the 80s and 90s.
Right.
So it kind of looked
that
not
picture
dissimilar. Yeah, look at that. Oh, it changed.
There's a picture of the depot right
Here we
there,
go.
when they had buildings on that side of the street.
Yep. Oh, Sue McCall's 6th birthday party. Lake Acworth cross dedication. Now that cross is still out there, isn't it? And does it still get lit?
Tell you the truth, I don't know.
I wonder. I remember seeing that.
I think we're gonna put some new lighting in it. I don't know if that's been done or not.
Now I know that the lake itself is historic, and the building that's out there is historic. It was built in the 50s, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was built right after Herman Talmadge came up, and they built that, dedicated that building, I think in 1953.
That's right. Okay. And is it still used today?
Yeah, that's the beach house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still
All right.
used today.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if anybody on here had any questions about Acworth, but we've got the man who can answer them. Anybody who wanted to share any stories, feel free. We got a good crowd.
Maybe.
Good crowd. Maybe. Oh, well, this is what we do. If we don't know it, we just make it up. Or we write it up later. But yeah, no, this is a treat, and I think you guys have just done a phenomenal job of preserving the history here. Now, you do collect artifacts outside of what's on display. Do you store them? Isn't it over at City Hall? Is that where you guys have the space?
We've got an office at City Hall, and we've got several cabinets full of artifacts there.
So-
And we've also got a display cabinet in City Hall,
Oh, okay.
right as you go in the library.
Oh, I haven't been in there.
The reason we only
Okay.
have the small display cabinet in here, this is a small building, and
Mm-hmm.
we didn't want to clutter it up with display cabinets. We got, of course, that's got some pretty neat artifacts in it.
It sure does. Let me go look over there. I didn't even stop to look at the artifacts. Coates and Clark. Now that one is over there behind the baseball field, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look up right above the picture, there's a picture of the mill.
Oh, there it is. Do you know that we have pictures of when they closed that down before they tore down all of the buildings and houses inside the mill? I need to send you guys those.
Oh, they didn't tear those houses down.
Well, but some of them, maybe they didn't tear them down, but they, there's nobody living in them when they took the pictures. Yeah, well, I'll have to show you. You can probably tell me what they are. How about the Civil War, somebody said? What's our Civil War history here?
Well, we don't have probably as much as you would think, but of course the first depot was built on the railroad here probably in 1850, and it got destroyed in the Civil War. Mm-hmm. And then they built a smaller one back, I think, in about 1870, and it lasted until they built this huge one in 1893. But we don't have a whole lot of Civil War stuff. That's one thing I guess we've kind of got a little past that date.
Well, you do still have some homes that survived.
we
A
got
lot
some,
of your
yeah,
homes,
yeah.
where a lot of cities, their homes were destroyed.
I think
Acworth
there was 8 or 10 houses here that survived the Civil War. They're still here.
Yeah.
Of course, The Lemon House,
Right.
right at the end of Lemon Street here, is probably maybe the oldest house. in
Okay.
town. It's still standing.
Yeah, and most of them are privately owned.
Right. Oh, yeah.
What's the house that's a events place down here? There's an old house on the other side of the tracks that's an event place. I've been to a couple weddings there, but I can't remember.
You're talking about the Logan House? Over at Logan Park?
No, it's on down the tracks, almost till you can't go anymore. Well, we'll find it out. But also,
Sorry
of
about
course,
that. I'm
no,
drawing a
that's
blank.
okay. But you know what else? Also, as far as Civil War
Oh, you're
goes,
talking about probably the Cedar Plantation.
Cedar Plantation,
Cedar
that's
Plantation.
it. Yeah, Cedar Plantation.
Bridget Rowe owns it.
Okay. But as far as Civil War goes, of course, you guys can, lay claim to a small part of the Great Locomotive Chase. Those guys came through here, and there's some history there to their story. And there were definitely soldiers that came through here.
Right.
Even though there weren't the battles right here. But
Here's one part of the Civil War. My great-great-grandfather, John Harbinger Turner, signed up for the Civil War here in Ackworth, and it was spelled A-C-K.
Oh, yes.
We found a lot of paperwork back in those days that had a K in it. So my cousin found his where he signed up for the war, and he signed up here in Ackworth.
That's cool.
Because our family lived up around Altoona.
Okay. Well, yeah. How far, I guess, do you consider Ackworth going? Is it all the way up to Altoona?
Well, here's your real neat item. Ackworth, still considered a small town, goes into 4 counties.
That's right.
Bartow, Cobb, Paulden, and Cherokee. I don't think you can find another small town
No.
anywhere that's got this small. It's got 4 counties.
I did know that because at one point I lived in Ackworth and Cherokee County, and I grew up in Ackworth and Cobb County, and they called me for jury duty in Cobb County one time when I was living in Cherokee County, so so I got out of it. But no, you're right, and it is interesting how they divided the county lines would have been there before the city incorporated, so why they just kind of pushed it out, I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's just all kinds of history up here. Even if you go out towards Mars Hill, do you guys are your preservation efforts mainly revolving around the downtown area, or do you kind of go out to some of the other communities?
Well, we were trying to get some information from some of the other counties. That's came in kind of slow. Most of our efforts have been concentrated. Of course, we just got through with a practically year-long project on the Ackworth Christian Church.
That's right.
And,
how could I forget that? That's the big thing.
We, of course, the pandemic came along about the time we were negotiating on that. But we just had the grand opening of that.
A week ago, wasn't it?
What is it?
Or
It's
no?
April 29th.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And we had a good crowd there. So that church is open for business now, and it looks brand new.
Now you say open for business. Is it open just for anyone to go in and
It's
see?
open for anyone.
Okay.
It's open at 11 o'clock on Sunday for services. And it's got a sign that says "Welcome All."
Wow, that's
So
wonderful.
go on up and check it
Yeah.
out. It looks fantastic.
Where is it exactly? Which church is it in relation to the depot here?
Well, if you walked out here on the sidewalk, you can see it.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Let me
you
see.
have
Well,
to,
I'd have to go outside,
yeah.
but it's north.
It's on the other side of the tracks.
Oh, on the other side of the tracks there. Okay.
And
Yep.
It's a beautiful church. If you look right here, one of these things,
Yes.
that church was established in 1858.
Oh, wow, that's the one. Okay.
And it was established not on the site where it is now. It was established right down South Side Drive here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And, but it got taken out in the Civil War also.
Okay.
And then they built back up here.
Now, that's interesting because they didn't always burn the churches down.
Well,
Most.
I think they burned it. From what I've been able to understand, it was built out of big timbers. Somebody said they took the timbers and made little shacks or shanties.
That makes sense. They would use it for the wood. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And then it moved down to the site where it is now in 1875. It burned to the ground in 1899, and they built back in 1901. And then it's been standing on the site since 1901.
And that's been quite an endeavor to redo the church that you guys have been working on. I mean,
It was a monster.
what was the hardest part?
We got involved in it, and we were just going to try to help them put a roof on it.
That's it.
And then what happened was, if you want me to tell the story.
Yeah, tell the story.
We found out later, Tim Richardson, who was kind of coming to some of our meetings, who just left, he's an Acworth City Alderman. He was doing some research at City Hall one day and found out they owned a house here in the city of Acworth that they had owned since 1959. And all
The city did?
No, the church.
Oh, the church
it was
did.
A parsonage.
Okay. Oh, okay, sure.
And it was in pretty bad shape too. I mean, the church was almost condemnable. It was in terrible shape. So we talked the church into selling the house to help rebuild the church, because both of them.
Well, there you go.
And actually, we finally got them to agree to it. They signed the contract, and about 2 weeks later, the house, they got a contract on it.
Wow.
So that's how hot real
That's
estate
great.
is
It
here in
is.
Acworth.
Sure is.
So we took that money and started on the church in October, and then we knew we raised about, I don't know, $40,000-$50,000 from local citizens here to finish it up. So that's kind of
That's phenomenal.
But it was a nonstop effort from October the 12th, I think, till we opened April 29th.
It's so impressive too that you guys, I mean, I realize you're a nonprofit now, you've got that, but truly everything here was such a real community effort. You know, a lot of times in Marietta and other places in Cobb County, you know, you've got organizations that are well established, like Cobb Landmarks or, you know, Georgia, the Georgia Trust. You know, they're kind of leading and pushing people and prodding people and doing all the heavy, you know, the paperwork and all of that. But you guys really have taken it upon yourselves.
We raised a lot of money for some of these projects just because we got a lot of great people that love the history here, and they've really stepped up. I applaud them. You know?
Yeah.
And,
We had a question. Was it always called Acworth? Was it always named Acworth?
no, it was before it was Acworth. It was Northcutt Station.
Okay.
And it was.
We know that name.
I think it was considered a watering hole. And it was just.
Wow.
Acworth was only chartered in 1860.
Okay.
And actually, that church was here before it was chartered.
Yeah.
That was 1858.
It was here. Yeah.
But it was called Northcutt Station.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, Northcutt. Now we know that name well in Marietta. Got Northcutt Stadium and lots of Northcutts in our history. So, and I know they're related somehow, but.
Well, Northcutt's actually had a lot to do with the commerce here. You see that cotton mill that was started by Orlando Autry and J.J. Northcutt in 1905.
Okay.
So they were involved in, they were a pretty involved family here. And I think one of them actually had something to do with a hotel at one time.
Probably.
So they were movers and shakers.
Probably. What is on your list of what's next, I guess? And someone asked you this on Facebook, and I saw your answer, and you came with a whole list. But I don't want all that specifics. Mine is specifically, not now, and maybe not in the next 5 things, but what's the next building that you want to try to save? If you could do anything and try to save a building around here, what's the next one you would do?
Well, believe it or not, we're not really into saving buildings.
Okay.
We got into that project with the church.
Yeah.
Kind of, like I say, we were going to help them put a roof on it, and all of a sudden we come into all this money selling that house. And it's really hard to get involved saying you're going to save a building unless you have somebody who's willing to step up and donate a lot of money.
Well, were y'all involved in the Logan Farmhouse?
No,
Okay.
That was all the city.
That was all the city.
Yeah.
Okay. But do they ever, I mean, I would imagine you guys have a good working relationship with the city as far as, you know, if they're trying to decide,
Let me say this right now. I think Acworth, and I said this at the opening of this building when I spoke here, I think they got the best city leaders maybe in Georgia. I mean, they brought this town up to one of the most desirable towns in Georgia.
I agree.
I mean, the real estates went through the roof here. Stuff wants to come here all the time. They've got a golf cart community now.
Yeah.
And they're developing across what they call Parkside, since they put this bridge in,
yes.
where they can access both sides.
Yeah.
And they got new restaurants coming in. This town's booming.
It is. It really is. And it's in a large part because of the preservation efforts. And not only with this group, but even going back, 10, 20 years with the business owners who've really tried to revitalize the restaurants. I still remember distinctly when Henry's opened. And that's
been a shot in the arm.
That was a huge shot because all of a sudden we all came for Henry's, but then all the shops would stay open. And you could even get, while you're waiting on your table, bring your drink into stores and shop, and and that was huge for the city. I remember.
Henry's a real character. I know him real well, but he's been a shot in the arm.
Good. Yeah. Well, he does a lot.
I think him being a character is part of the allure.
Part of the fun. That's right. He is fun.
They have great food there, and it's usually a lot of times you come up here to this town at night, you can't even find a parking place.
No, you can't.
All these restaurants are doing.
Yeah. Well, I know next, for real, next is more interviews. I think you said you guys are going to be working on that, and now you let me know. When you start getting into the 40-somethings and you want to hear our experiences, because I can help you with that.
Well, I'm gonna put you on the list now.
I'm getting to where I'm old enough to be interviewed.
If you notice, Amy, this kiosk thing here, it's got a visitor information center. It's not just for videos.
That's true.
If you match that side of it, it tells you the hotels, restaurants.
Really? So it really is a visitor information center. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They don't advertise it that much, but it's got a lot. It's got a lot of stuff.
Okay. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Okay. I don't think
this. No,
this.
I was just going to ask about this.
This is the original scales that were in the 1893 depot.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay.
If you go look at that, if you go over and look at that storyboard, it shows you what they look like when we found them.
Oh my goodness! Look at that.
They were taken out of here in 1970 and put under that shed, and our group came to restore them.
They were taken out of here, in case y'all didn't hear it, in 1970 and put in a shed, and this group, Save Acworth History Group, restored them. That's fantastic. Now, did y'all restored a printing press too, didn't you? Or you were involved somehow in that?
We were involved in it. We didn't restore it. The same guy that restored it restored these scales.
Okay,
Clement
that's what I thought.
He does a lot of stuff for Kennesaw State. And he restored these scales back to the original color.
That's amazing.
Those scales are like 1870 scales.
Wow, look at that.
And they still work.
Wow.
They still work.
And am I gonna? So I'm not going to. But if I were to stand in the middle of that, it would take my weight.
I assume.
I'm not gonna try it. I'm not gonna try it, but if so,
I don't want to
I know it. The only place I can think of in Marietta that I know of that still has scales like that, where it's still in the original building, is the Denmead building on the square, which now on Mill Street, which now has Tycoon. I don't know if you've been in there. They've got a set of scales too. You could compare them.
Where is that?
On Mill Street in Acworth, right across the railroad tracks, there's a restaurant called Tycoon. Marietta, okay. Sorry. Okay. Where am I? In Marietta, Mill Street, and it's Tycoon. But they have and it looks very similar to this. I'd be interested in comparing them and seeing if they came from around the same time period.
One of my vice president of our organization, Betsy Brown, gave me this had-to list.
You better go over it, because you'll get in trouble if you don't.
She said oral histories, which we've already discussed, the depot construction, which we were part of that, and kind of consulted on it a little bit. The Christian church, Doyle Hill bench. We donated one a bench like this to the park, and these are not cheap benches.
No, they're nice.
We give scholarships away every year. We have a car show that we raise money for scholarships. This way we gave two $1,000 scholarships.
To high school seniors?
Yes.
Are they specifically from North Cobb?
Well,
or
North Cobb, Altoona, Brookwood Christian, and I think there's a couple more. I don't have the list.
What do they have to do to get it?
Well, they have to be interested in history as a minor or something. And
all right. Well, I have a rising junior at Altoona, so I'm gonna keep that in mind.
There you go. The hotel monument, which will be put up sometime this summer. The mini videos, we got inspired by y'all to do those. We've done, 10 or 12 of them, but we go around some of the sites around town and do those. By the way, they're on the Save Acworth History Foundation YouTube channel.
There we go. We're going to find a link and put it on here, a link to that.
We started the Nancy Smith Maxwell Award last year. And Nancy Maxwell is a lady who was born here in 1930. She still lives across the street from the house she was born in.
Wow.
And she's got such a great memory for history that we established an award in her name last year. That will be an annual award.
Aww.
And we hope that'll be later on in the year. It says depot bench. I guess we must have donated one of these benches here.
We're sitting on it.
Gallery boards and depot. What that means is we just had a lot of input. A lot of these pictures are ours that we'd collected.
Did y'all? Did you get Kennesaw State to do these boards as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
They did.
Okay. Yeah.
We
fantastic.
work really well with it. I mean, they've been a good partner for us.
They sure have. They're working on the Lemon Street project in Marietta. They've been instrumental in that.
The grand opening of the depot, which was in 2019, we were all here, and some of us spoke at that. The monthly programs at Roberts School, I know Krista's been over and spoke a couple of times.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll have you over there.
Sure. I remember I went to
we're
school
fixing to start those back.
is the Roberts School McCall? Is that
No,
McCall?
Roberts
No.
School
Where's
is
Roberts
across the
School?
railroad. It's right. It's exactly right behind the Christian church.
Oh, right.
On School
Right,
Street.
right. I actually, in the old school, was that Acworth Elementary where McCall is?
Yeah,
okay.
that was Acworth Elementary.
For about 2 months, our school, my elementary school, I went to Baker Elementary, and they were still building it. And so for 2 months, we had to come over here, and we had classes in the basement over there. I remember that.
I started at that school in 1952. Yeah, old line.
I think our classes were, tell me if this sounds right. I feel like it was either under the cafeteria or under the gym, because I remember hearing a whole lot of commotion over us the whole day.
And we also work with Altoona Charities on some charity events and stuff. So Betsy,
Wait a minute, you skipped over one.
what?
Citizen of the Year.
She put that on there. I wasn't going to say anything about
I know you weren't, because it was you, wasn't
Well,
it?
yeah, but anyway, but I guess we've done a lot, but it's hard when you're involved in this. You don't think about all the things you've done. Do you see it written down? We're
right.
constantly doing something.
It's never ending. Preserving history. That's the good and the bad of it. It's never ending. There's always going to be something else. Always something that becomes more important. As if something happens to, say, a building or a person, you want to get a story before they're gone. And that sort of thing.
We tried to get the elderly people, in early, and unfortunately, some of the people that are in these interviews have passed away.
Yeah.
And that makes them even more
Oh,
valuable.
they're priceless. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd recommend all towns, if you can, to do all your, because once it's gone, it's gone.
That's it. That's right. That's right.
I'll tell a little bit of story about the Acworth Beach. We were talking about it a while ago. I think Herman Talmadge, I saw something the other day. They had a barbecue there in 1953, and it was $2 a plate
Wow.
to get a barbecue.
Wow.
I started at the Acworth Grammar School in 52. So we used to go down there and have picnics at that beach. And a lot of us kids in this town had never been anywhere. So now we walk out of school and a couple
There's
minutes
a
later,
beach.
so we really thought
That's
thought
pretty
we
cool.
were really special.
I mean, that's pretty nice.
So
we don't have a beach in Marietta, so that's pretty good.
So that beach that's been a real great shot in the arm for this town for a long time.
Now, tell me this: thinking about the time period when it opened, I'm assuming it was segregated. Is that right? When it opened?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I'd have to go back.
Yeah.
The black folks had their own beach.
Okay.
And it was George Washington Carver Beach, which was up on the edge of Bartow County.
Okay, on
And
Alatoona.
I don't think at that time a lot of black people went to that beach. I guess they all went to George Washington Carver.
Yeah,
That would have been back, in the early 50s. The Acworth Lake was actually built in like 1950, but the beach house came 2 or 3 years later.
Okay.
So
Okay.
It was built at the same time Lake Altoona. It was built at the same time.
Okay.
Lake Altoona, they backed water up in it in 1950.
In 1950. Now, what year did you say you graduated from North Powell? 64. Okay. That's just a few years before me. But I'm sure you've been back over to the high school, or you drove past it at least.
I've been
It's
there.
changed a lot.
I went there to one reunion. I think it was our 10-year, 15-year reunion, and I've never been back.
Really? Oh, we've got to find a teacher to get you in over there, because that would be great for them to hear some of your stories. Oh, there's part of the hotel. Well, I wish we could. Oh, it's gone now. But look at that, Lovable Toys. He had a Lovable Toys, toy factory here. That looks like a picnic. Coates and Clark. Oh, that space is still looks like that.
There's the Acworth Pharmacy back in the 1940s.
Okay.
That is a neat scroll there. It's got some really
Sure
great
is.
pictures on it.
We need to do something like that.
Yeah, y'all need to have something like that in your museum.
I know.
So you're getting
You need to tell me.
ideas
You need to tell me how I get the money for it. That's what I need to know off camera.
Do like me, go on Facebook.
That's what I should do. Say, hey, we need this. Somebody pay for it. Let's see. Van said, oh yeah, Van Worthy. Yes, we did in the 60s. Went to George Carver Beach and fished. Yep, there we go. Okay, so you guys came all the way up from Marietta and went all the way up to Allatoona, Lake Allatoona. Yeah. So
Let me say something about the integration part.
yeah.
We have a video on here. I think it's Larry Griffin. And he was one of the first 2 African Americans to start the North Cobb. I believe it was in 1966. And he tells about that experience in one of these videos.
I'm gonna have to watch that for sure.
It's really good.
Yeah,
I mean,
I bet
he
it
tells
is.
about how standoffish and everything it was. And the way he tells it will almost bring a tear to your eye. It's really a...
Well, Van, who's commenting on here, she was the first one to integrate Wheeler High School.
What year would that have been?
Well, Van, I know you hear me, so I think it's 67. No, it was later than that. Marietta was 67. We'll see if Van lets us know what year that is. But it's my understanding and some of the research that I've done that Marietta had a little bit of a more, I don't want to say easy, but a little more smoother transition for their students than some of the kids out in the county.
Right.
Than they did. She said, yes, we didn't have a choice if we wanted to go. 1969. Yeah. So they didn't have a choice at that. Yeah. So
I think Larry says in that interview that he'd go home and tell his dad how bad things were. They felt isolated. And his dad just said, hang in there, things will get better. And he said they did.
yeah.
So
Yeah. I know it was tough on Van, but she's a strong woman. So I know it made her part of who she is today. So, and I'm sure it did for him too. And and I think it's important that you guys are preserving those stories as well. A lot of towns have not done that, and we're
like
all
I say, if you
doing
go to
better.
our YouTube channel, Save Acworth History Foundation YouTube, there's all kind of interesting videos on there. And what makes it so interesting, Amy, it's like when I did my interview, I talk about when my 3rd great grandfather came here in the land lottery.
That's crazy.
So I mean, in 1832.
You're a rarity. Yeah, I mean, you really.
And so I mean, and then his son joined the Civil War here.
Yeah.
So we go back not only to what I'm talking about, but on back to their history, which goes back 160 years or something like that.
That's amazing. Well, I think we're good here today. If anybody has any more questions, feel free to ask in the next 5 seconds. Finished for me. Look at that. Hopefully we've reconnected. Trying to reconnect. All right. Well, thank you, Mac. I appreciate everything you're doing for my hometown.
And welcome home.
Yeah, thank you. I know. I really appreciate this, and we'll be back up here.
Somebody gets some good out of it. I was a little bit nervous about doing this. Never done a Facebook Live.
Everybody's nervous when they end up with me. You never know. I don't have Christy here to keep me in line. So.
I've enjoyed it. So
yeah.
Hopefully somebody gets.
Let's see. Thank you, Kristen. Next week we'll have a pre-recorded video on how to properly clean a tombstone to finish Historic Preservation Month. And I did not tell everybody that stars are enabled. So if you guys want to go back and give us some stars, maybe if we get enough stars, I can get one of those fancy TVs like you guys have, and we can put some more interviews up in Marietta. But,
I will say, Krista, y'all need to start doing these interviews. I mean,
yes,
you really do.
Yeah, Krista, you need to do that. You need to get on that.
Krista,
come on. You don't have anything else to do. All right, thank you, and we'll talk to you guys later.